Welcome, everybody, to episode 15 of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. I'm your host, Big Ben Ortmanns, and this week we're going to be getting to know one of my friends from the pro wrestling business a little bit better. This man, honestly, in my opinion, truly needs no introduction, but for those of you who don't know him, first of all, shame on you. Second of all, this guy here was one of the original UWA OGs. And for any of you guys who are watching this and you're not familiar with Ontario Independence, UWA is this mythical company that the legend of them grows to this day. I never understood it. I'm just being honest, when it was going on, it was advanced for my mind to comprehend, but looking back on it, it created so many different incredible talent. They brought in so many different amazing talent. And it was actually, looking back on it, was so big and important for the growth of Ontario independent wrestling. And this guy here was a huge, huge part of that. He's been a mainstay in the Ontario independents for God knows how long. But he doesn't get his just due. I'll just say that. He's been a former crossbody pro wrestling heavyweight champion. He's been a former crossbody pro wrestling internet champion. He's legitimately one of my favorite human beings, and he's the only friend I know that has fought a Power Ranger for me. Ladies and gentlemen, Lionel Knight. What's going on?
Okay, yo, we got to start off with the Power Ranger story.
Well, here's the thing. In my opinion, it kind of almost leads into the first question. Like I texted you the question. Yeah, I texted you the question. I was like, hey, this is what I normally ask my my friends and all that jazz and whatever. It's the first question on all the podcasts. Anybody who's listening already knows what's coming. So it's kind of a nice little lead-in, because I always felt that we were buddies before this, but I genuinely felt that this was the day where I was just like, I'm going to take a bullet for this man one day, and I'll be so happy to do so. But the first question I have to ask is, well, first of all, you know what? How are you, buddy?
I'm good, man. I'm all right. COVID-19 sucks, but
fuck yeah,
I'm all right, man. Holding up, doing my thing. How's you, baby?
I'm doing okay, man. I'm just I'm trying to keep busy, just trying to keep my mind occupied, just trying to keep my creative brain, trying to keep it sharp, just trying to keep busy, like this, things seem to be starting to be taking a little bit of a turn for the good at the moment. So it's just one of those things where you just got to be prepared and stay prepared. And, it's the old, as the old saying goes, just like, if you fail to prepare, you prepare to fail. Right. So I see the light at the end of the tunnel finally starting to be a realistic thing. So I'm just trying to do my best to prep for that, and just to just build everything that I've been doing previous, but, try to expand on that. Like, that's why I did this podcast, is one of the reasons why, I wanted to get to know my friends better, obviously. And it gives me an excuse to chat with my friends for over an hour and get some FaceTime with people. But at the same time, too, it forced me to, which was my immediate goal, which I've been procrastinating on for way too long, but it forced me to learn how to get into video editing and start to learn little tricks and all that jazz, because this is very much a DIY project at this point, right? Aiden Prince helped me out with the graphics and all that jazz, but in regards to the rest of it, all the editing, everything, like everything is me at this point. Like, I record, I get all my guests, I mean, not that I should have anybody else that does that, but I mean, it's been something that has been able to help me grow. So just trying to keep busy.
Shout out to Aiden Prince, because he told me about what you're doing. He said it's pretty cool. And he told me if I would do it regardless, but he's like, yo, if Ben reaches out to you, do it, because it sounds like a lot of fun. I said, okay, cool. So when Aiden co-signs it, it's like, that guy's a sweetheart. He's a gem. One of my favorite people too. So if he co-signs something like that, usually it's like, it's a done deal,
Yeah, and I love that guy so goddamn much, man. So I appreciate that first of all that he did that. Thanks, Princey. You're a good brother. I appreciate you. But yeah, the thing is that I'm not trying to make this like a regular podcast. Like it's weird to try to. I've been having a hard time getting certain guests that I've wanted. because
you are stupid.
All I'm telling them is like, hey, I've got this podcast. Would you like to be on it? And for me, if I was any one of them, I'd be like, oh man, you're just another one of those guys who's trying to get dirt and you're trying to put yourself over. And I don't want to do like a shoot interview and get myself heat. And it's just like, you haven't listened to the show. I couldn't try to stay further away from that than I possibly do. Like I've got like a line of, I've got a bit of a format here that I use. You'll find out. But, the whole point is to avoid all that stuff. Cause I don't care, I don't want to shoot on anybody. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I don't want to do any of that stuff. I want to get to know my friends better. And I want the audience who tunes into these things to get to know not just myself, but my guests better, because in my opinion, that's what makes us relatable. And that's what helps get people to understand us better as performers, is to understand us better as human beings. It just makes us a lot more relatable. So, because the line is very much, you can walk that line now,
Yeah.
So I figure it's an opportunity for me to kind of, again, get to know my buddies better. And it's an opportunity for anybody listening to get to basically be a fly on the wall in a conversation between two buddies,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So sorry, go ahead. Continue.
No. I just said it's a good idea.
Oh, well, thank you. But yeah, what have you been up to during all of this stuff?
Man, work, a lot of work, a lot of overtime, because I'm an essential worker as well, right? So
same. So I got pretty lucky, and it sounds like you did too.
Nonstop overtime. It's just been crazy, man. Just been honestly just a lot of work, a lot of forth.
That was me for the first. Actually, it's been me the entire time. But I remember when this all first started going down, and my bosses didn't really have any answers for me as to why we weren't taking any time off and why we weren't following the protocols and all that stuff. It was going to work every day was something that I was dreading, just because nobody knew what was going on. So I was just like,
scary.
Are we putting ourselves in harm's way? And then I remember specifically seeing a particular wrestler. I don't want to put them on blast just because I'm not trying to shout at anybody's hard times, but I saw one particular wrestler like complaining about how little money they had just because they weren't able to work and serve and all that stuff. And then it was that moment that I was just like, oh, like shit, like I'm actually one of the lucky ones here. Like,
yeah.
I went from like immediate like anger and confusion as to why am I doing this to like instant like, oh my
appreciation.
God.
Yeah. It's because for me it's the same thing. I was actually getting upset with my bosses because like, yo, listen, if we're putting our lives and our families at risk, that's already crazy enough to me. And then you're just, because I was just like, if I'm gonna do this, if this is now a dangerous job, I should be getting paid way more. And they're like, no, they're trying to give me the runaround at first. And then it wasn't until, tweets came out about how other wrestlers who basically live only on wrestling were like, hey, man, I'm not making any money. Or it just changed everything for me, too. I was like, after it's about a month and a half in, I was like, holy smokes, like not wrestling 1 month sucks enough. But imagine not wrestling 4 or 5 months. And that's like your main income. You got a kid or whatever the case may be. So shout out to all the wrestlers who live on wrestling. I hope there's a way for you guys to make money, and hopefully you can take care of your families, and hopefully wrestling comes back, because it's a big blow and it sucks. It really does suck. So
it's been fascinating though, for me at least anyway. I don't know for you, just because like I know that you're one of those guys who like you just live your life, baby boy. You don't give a fuck about what's going on the internet, all that stuff or whatever. You don't care about who's doing what. You care about Lionel, but I mean that in the best way possible. Like I genuinely wish that I had that. But it's been genuinely fascinating just to kind of see what people have been doing with their time or not doing with their time. If like it's been great to see certain people grow from a physical standpoint, because you're like, oh wow, some people actually really took this seriously, and they're just like, shit, I got nothing but time. Which means Mark Wheeler. I don't want to blow this out too much out of proportion, just because I don't want people to have like this over expectation. But I'm telling you right now, the one that's going to turn the most amount of heads when people actually see what he looks like right now is Pretty Ricky.
Oh yeah?
Fuck yeah!
Like I was like, I remember the first time I invited him down, like to the gym once we were able to actually open up for non-contact training, and I invited certain people to come down and just get some workouts in. He took me up on it, and when he came in the door, I was just like,
God damn it.
I actually was like, who the fuck is that? And then like,
pretty Ricky. He's even prettier. Yeah.
I was like, my boy, he grew up.
He's another one. I think he's gonna be one of those hidden gems. Like, he's gonna be way bigger than what people ever thought, because his work ethic, his creativity, his way to entertain is like, man, right now to me, in terms of entertainment, he's probably the best in Ontario right now. Like, he's going above and beyond. He's going above and beyond to make sure that his stuff sticks, and he does a good job, man. He's dope. I love that guy.
I honestly think that it's a bit of a – I don't think we're doing him enough fucking justice. I think that he's one of the most entertaining people in this country. I don't think Ontario –
I agree. I completely agree, because there's even times where I DM this guy. I'm like, yo, bro, listen, you need to get signed. You need to get signed. These ideas you have, you need to get signed, man.
See, people have been saying this for a long time right now. And the cool thing is like what you're saying about like that people need to realize all this stuff is something that I realized a long time ago. And I'm not trying to be that guy where I'm just like, oh, I saw this in him before everybody else did. But what a lot of people don't know, and this should actually be out there already, but I accidentally fucked up the audio because I filmed a podcast with Ricky and we talked about this, but we'll re-record it and whatever. But Ricky to me has been family for a while because, as you know, Brady is one of my, like, I don't even consider him a best friend. He's my brother. He's family to me, right? So Brady was going through a bit of a hard time there, like, at one point, and like his health was real shitty, and where he was and where I was, I couldn't get to him, and I couldn't be there for him to help him. And just, I don't even know really why, but like Ricky just stepped up, and this was like before like Ricky was like, he was still reffing at this point. And he just was there for him all the time. Like he became like Brady's right-hand man for me, and would like take care of my buddy for me when I couldn't be there to take care of him myself. And I always appreciated that. And like the one day we were doing this thing where Brady was like helping the Insane Clown Posse promote a concert in Windsor or outside of Windsor. I can't remember, but Brady was like the dude that was like in charge of it. And he brought me in for the day and like paid me to basically just to pretty much hang out with him, but to be his security guy and all that stuff. And I just remember he put out a message to like the people that he thought would be good helpers. He's just like, hey, if you want to come down and make like a nice little chunk of change, we need this help for this, and this. Ricky was there, like didn't even like flinch. He was there. He did all the work. Like he took break. Like that was I remember that day specifically where I was just like, okay, whatever I can do for this guy going forward, I'm going to. And then there was one day when I started to notice like he was starting to do more videos, and like I was like, wow, like this guy's actually really like talented.
Trying.
Like there's definitely something there. And I remember just as he started doing this, we were doing a seminar with Elgin, I think it was, and whoever the blue ribbon champion was at the time, I want to say it was Jake Jones. Yes, it was Jake Jones. He showed up and he had to drop the title because he was having some health problems and he needed some time off. So he basically came to work and he was like, hey, you need to get the belt off me like today. I was like, fuck, okay. And then I'm like, I don't know who, because like I had plans for this, right? And there was a specific wrestler, and I'm not going to say who because I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings, but there was a specific wrestler where I was just like, you know what? That's my guy. That's it. That's who I'm going to put it on. And I was literally about to say the person's name. Like, you know, that deal where like, as you're about to say something, like something else happens and you're just like, you kind of catch yourself.
Yep.
So basically that's what happened. I was literally about to say this wrestler's name. And then as I was saying that, Ricky walked in the door. Because he was late to the seminar, as usual. So fucking. So then all of a sudden, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I was just like, wait a sec. this is my guy. Like, that was a gift. That was a gift from God right then and there. I was just like, boom. And in that instant moment, I was just like, I'm going to help this guy. And he's been with me for a little under 2 years now, but he's been a pet project of mine. And I hate to say that just because like I sound like I'm taking credit for him, and I'm not, but just certain things, like his game elevated just because he asked all the right questions, bro. Like I remember we gave him the belt. And then when we did the showcase series, that belt was going to be specifically for the showcase series. And so I put him in the main event the first night. He wins and he comes back. And I just remember I was like, you good with that? And he's just like, and I was hoping he was going to say yes. And then I was going to sit down with him and I was going to break down. I'm like, okay, so here's what was good. Now here's where we got to like improve, just because like you're in the main event, and like the main event is a completely different style of psychology. It's everything. Everything's different. So I'm like, everything good out there? And he's like, yeah, but you know what, man? He's just like, I just didn't feel like I fucking wrestled a main event match. He's just like, what do I got to, and as he said that, I was like, he gets it. He fucking gets it. Yeah. And he's just like, what do I got to do to wrestle a main event match? And I was just like, sit, young fella. Let's chat. And like, we chatted for like 2 hours, dude. And then like, he came back. And then the next time he literally, I don't think that like, you'd almost thought that he had a fucking voice recorder, like hidden somewhere. But like, he took every goddamn thing that we talked about and applied it. And then he came back and he was just like, wow, that was different. Like, I felt that one. And I was just like, ugh. Like he's growing. And like, he's everything, like from just different stuff. Like he's just been a joy to work with and just a joy to watch grow, man.
He's awesome to watch, man. Love that guy. Anything he puts up, I watch it 3-4 times over. I'm liking it. I'm sending this guy a message. I'm like, my God, he's good. He's so good. I can't wait to see what he does. Like, it's one of those things where, when a guy starts off the way he's starting off, he's like, okay, he's doing good. If he keeps this up, I wonder how far he's going to – I wonder how far – because he's going to hit a home run for sure. I wonder how far out the park this thing's going to go. You know what I mean? That's what the wonder is now. It's not even so much if he hits it, is how far it's going to go.
But he's progressing at the perfect pace, in my opinion, because again, like when he started to take off, like when we first started using him, like there was a lot of people that were just like, oh, you need to be doing this and you need to be doing that. And I'm like, you guys need to shut the fuck up. I appreciate you guys saying all that stuff. And that's great to know that you think that he should be there. Keep thinking that he needs to be there, because the alphabet doesn't go from A to Z. You know what I mean? Like it goes A, B, C.
There's an elemental P somewhere.
There are steps to get to Z. You know what I mean? So let's take those appropriate steps, just because you can't just unless you've gotten the entire alphabet, you're never going to understand the next letter.
Exactly.
Right. So it's not fair to put that pressure on somebody. So he's been building, as far as I'm concerned, like at the perfect rate. But he's one of those guys that I think that when we come back from everything, like he's going to be one of those guys that turns one of the most amount of heads, just because he's been staying consistent with his promos and his character development. But he's been putting in the necessary work outside of all that stuff, where everybody was like, yeah, but you don't look like this. Okay, well, fuck you. I'm going to go look like this. So now what?
You know what, though? I've seen wrestling has a lot of different bodies. I've seen a lot of guys that don't have bodies make it, and a lot of guys who have bodies not make it. So bodies don't really mean anything. It's what you produce.
Exactly.
It's all on what you produce. I don't care. I don't care who you are. If you are a dope wrestler, if you're entertaining, if you give the crowd something that they like and enjoy, you can deliver. It doesn't matter what you look like, man. It does not matter. Yokozuna did not have a body, but he was world champion twice. So, I mean,
you can't put you can't have a specific look in mind when what we're, I think the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand is most people think that we're in like the looks business. We're in the aesthetics business. Cause like, we are, in a sense, where it's just like, we got to fucking be in spandex and we've got to perform in front of a large audience. But are we in the aesthetics business or are we in the connection business?
Connection, man. That's where it's at. That's
right.
Really where it's at.
Like, and I understand that it helps that connection maybe a little easier if like your aesthetics look good and stuff like that. But you know,
Hey,
you can't tell me that Orange Cassidy needs to put some muscle on.
No, he doesn't need to. He does not need to. But neither does Pretty Ricky, in my opinion. Pretty Ricky doesn't need to do any of that. Pretty Ricky needs to be Pretty Ricky. That's it.
I think you're 100% right. But I do also think that like the shape that he's getting himself in is only just going to add to it because he's not getting Mr. Atlantis like fucking huge where like he can't move, but he's filling out and he's starting to look more of he just looks like more of a man now. That
he looks like a movie star. He looks like a star. Last time I saw this guy, I'm like, this guy's a star. Yeah. Last time I personally saw him, which wasn't too long ago, I looked at him like, this guy's a star. Straight up. I was so happy to see this guy. I'm like, this guy is legitimately a star. I'm not going to say who I was with, but I saw him. I'm like, this guy's a star. Straight up.
He's a gem.
I'm always going to feel that way ever since. I can't even tell you how long, but I feel like he's a star. Man, straight out.
The love that he gets in Kitchener, dude, is like there's nothing like that. Like the pop that he get, like there's like this weird, crazy energy whenever he like that is his fucking room. Like
that's its spot, yeah.
Like the name on the ticket and like the name on the whatever says Crossbody Pro Wrestling, but it is the fucking Pretty Ricky show when we're there, man. It's
I love it.
We're all just there just to make sure that we can that we can play second fiddle to that guy because like it dude, like the crowd turned on fucking Jimbo Jones, who is the nicest human being this planet has ever seen. When he started feuding with Ricky,
they turned on Jimbo.
Kitchener turned on Jimbo.
Oh. Wow, that's an impossible task, man. For you to be able to do that, you must be something special. Ricky's something special.
That was not in the plans. Trust me, that was not in the plans. Now we're gonna let's segue back to on track here because I'm sure that people are wondering about this Power Ranger story. So let's hear you regale the story of how Big Ben and Lionel Knight became boys.
Well, okay. Well, the way we became friends, the first time I actually remember meeting you was actually you. I'm trying to remember. I feel like it was. Some of your favorite wrestlers were there, man. Like, I think Tarek was there, and I know Josh was there. Josh Alexander was there for sure. And we were talking, I think we were talking basketball. We were talking ball. And talking about the best players back in the 90s. I'm like, yo, Jordan. Talking about Sean Kemp, Charles Barkley. And then someone mentions Penny fucking Hardaway.
Oh, my God. I forgot about this.
I lose my shit because I fucking hate Penny Hardaway. He is such a ripoff. The problem with Penny, he's a good player, but the nerve of you to compare this man to Jordan ever. And then when it just cringes my soul when they say Penny Hardaway at one point was considered like another Jordan. It bothers me so much. I knew I was a kid and I knew he was trash. And everyone was like, Penny Hardaway. I'm like, and I remember specifically saying, fuck Penny Hardaway. And you start blurting out laughing. And that's the first time I remember. That's the first time I remember Ben Ortmanns was that specific story. And it's funny because that story is where. So you kind of got something mixed up there. So I didn't say Penny Hardaway. I would never say Penny Hardaway. I'm a Jordan guy. But I heard somebody say Penny. Yes. As soon as you're just like, man, fuck Penny Hardaway. I instantly was just like, I don't know why, but as soon as you said that, I was just like I was like a Rottweiler, bro. I was just like, fuck Penny Hardaway.
Piece of garbage.
It was galore. And then what it was too was, because here's the thing, I didn't know Josh or Tarek were into basketball like that because I thought I was the only guy into basketball for some reason.
Right.
But they were into it. Like, Josh is a stats guy. Josh will give you the stats. Like, yo, this is why this guy's not that good. He's not as – like, if you have to pick a wrestler who could be a coach,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna pick Josh because he's looking for like efficiency on another level. So I'm gonna go for. So I didn't know Josh was in the ball like that. I didn't know Terry was in the ball, and I didn't know you were in the ball. And then when I said the fuck Penny Hardaway shit, I'm like, okay, there's more to us bonding than just wrestling. And you know what I mean? Because you think it's only wrestling, and then you actually talk to a person. It's like, yo, we actually like this. We like this. We like this. A lot of the same similar shit, right? So
yeah,
that's the first time I remember meeting you. Now,
wow. I forgot about that. Thank you so much for fucking bringing that back up.
I
man,
smoke a lot of weed, but my memory's still pretty good.
Good stuff.
Now here's the thing: the Power Ranger story. The Power Ranger story is a different story altogether. So, how do you want to start this, man? Do you want to go back and forth thing? Do you want to?
So, I'm gonna start this at a certain point, just because I don't.
You have to start it.
I don't want to get us into trouble. But well, I'll tell you afterwards. But
all right.
So we were at a Comic-Con, and I got asked by a guy who I don't say his name on the show. Fuck him. Asked me to help book a slew of it was like 3 or something like that shows throughout the course of the day for this Comic-Con thing, because he had his crew elsewhere and they couldn't make it back in time. It was like a 2 or 3 day thing, but he only needed me and like what I called the B squad, jokingly, for that day. So I'm putting these shows together, and next thing I know, like in between the second and third show, like there was this, next thing I know, like there was some dude that was like punching on one of the wrestlers, and then I went to go and stop it, and then I went to go and try to like calm the kid down who had hit one of the wrestlers, and then next thing I know, he winds up punching me in the throat, and then I was about to hit him, and then it just dawned on me, I'm like, that's not a good idea. So like I just grappled him and I took him down, and like I got on top of him, and I was just basically holding him there until the security got there. And I was trying to like calm him down, but he was not calm. Like he was getting angrier and angrier and angrier. And then at one point in time, he bit my hand, and it just angered me, because it was like this weird thing where like, it was like literally a few days before that, one of my coaches put in my head, he's just like, if any man bites another man, they deserve to die. And I don't know why that just like, all of a sudden, like, oh, this guy does. So I hit him with 2 punches, and then as I went to go and hit him with a third one, I looked down and his face was fucking a mess, and I was like, oh man, I fucked up. So I'm apologizing to this kid after I kind of like snapped out of it. Long story short, security gets him out of there. I'm trying to put this third show together, but now there's like security and police involved and all this.
It's all intense.
It was fucking crazy. So I took myself off the show so I could deal with all that stuff. And then I was trying to get you guys to keep the show moving. So then that way we wouldn't put any attention onto all this other stuff. So next thing I know, as the third show is going on, I'm sitting there speaking to a police officer, because he comes up to me. He's like, hey man, do you finally got a second? And I'm like, yeah. And then I look over, and I just see a commotion. And I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly, I want to say it was Steve Brown, had you on his shoulder and carrying you.
He was holding me back. He was holding me back for sure.
Carrying you the other way, and you're like yelling in this direction. And I'm like, I looked at the police officer and I was just like, hey, can you give me a second? And he laughs. He's like, yeah. And then I walked over to you, and then it was what you said after that made me like, oh my God, I love this guy. But maybe you can fill in the blanks, and then we'll hit that line afterwards.
So what it was so the situation with you happens. They bring him to the back. Yellow Power Ranger comes to the back. I don't know how she even got there. She comes to the back, but I think she had a handler with her. Somebody was with her, and she's cussing us all out. She's just like, you guys are pieces of shit. You guys are all garbage. I should get you guys sued. She's cussing us the fuck out. She's thinking that we, as wrestlers, beat him up.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the case at all. So I was trying to explain it to her. I'm like, because she was just yelling. She's really just yelling at every one of us. You probably didn't notice because you're talking to the cop, but she was cussing every one of us the fuck out.
Had no clue what was going on.
so she's doing that, and I'm trying to get her to calm down, and she just points at me like, you piece of shit. She's snapping on me, and I'm like, oh, fuck. And then she says something about how you basically beat this kid up and how you should go to jail. I just lost my shit. I just started cussing her the fuck out. Steve sees how pissed off I'm getting. Steve sees I'm so mad. He almost feels like I might attack this woman. I wasn't. I would never do that. But he's looking at me like I've never seen Lionel that mad. Because no, I'm not mad. I don't get mad. Like
you're
most
passionate.
people know, I never get mad. I never really get. No one's really seen me get pissed ever.
Yeah.
And to see that, Steve's like, holy fuck. Let me just pull this guy back a little. So what you now see is me basically cussing her out, and then when you come over, you're like, yo, Lionel, what happened? I'm like, yo, this bitch called you an asshole, and she's saying how you did this and did that, whatever. And you look over, and you're like, fucking bitch, and you hug me like, I love you, man. You're like, I remember you hugging me because of that. You're like, I love you, man. I love you so much for that. I'm like, yeah, man. Like, she's just talking so much shit. It was just because the thing was too, you got cops there. You don't know who you have there, right? Kevin Nash was there. Kevin Nash was there. So you're saying all this shit. You're saying all this shit about these wrestlers. I'm a wrestler, and I'm going to defend wrestling to the day I die. If you are a piece of shit in wrestling but you're talented, I will defend the fact that you're talented even though you're a piece of shit. That's the way I am. I won't defend the fact that you're a piece of shit, but I will speak up on your talent. I'm always going to try to protect the business. So when you go ahead and talk shit about wrestlers jumping a fan, and if that shit hits media or whatever, that could have been bad for us. You don't know, man. I'm not making anyone fuck up wrestling for me or the future, period. So I got pissed.
100%. And like what I got out of that story was I was just like, where I kind of, because I didn't know what was going on. So when you told me, like, I calmed you down. I'm like, Lionel, what's going on? And you were just like, yo, this girl, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait, what? And you're just like, this Power Ranger's going off on us and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, wait, Power Ranger? And I'm like, why are you so, and I'm like, why are you so angry? And he's just like, because she said that you were an asshole, man. And she's like fucking cursing you out. She was saying that you're an asshole. And I'm like, wait a sec. You flipped out because like she's talking shit about me? Yeah, fuck that bitch. And I'm just like, bro. I literally like, calm down. I'm like, and then I put my arm like, dude, I fucking love you.
Yeah, I remember that.
You don't understand. I fucking love you. I'm
There's
like,
more to that story though. There's more to that day actually too, if you remember.
Refresh my memory.
We also played a prank on everybody because it was so intense.
Yep.
It was so intense. We like we need to do something to like take the pressure off.
And it's kind of weird because it was almost perfect the way that it ended up happening, because with what ended up happening, we needed something to break this tension. And like there was this rib that I wanted to do where I had you and Tyler Thomas booked for the main event, and I wanted to put Tyler over, but I was put on the board that you were going over, and it was just the old like let's try to like have fun with some of the boys and blah 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 blah. So, and the whole thing was that you were gonna come back and like you were gonna like yell at him and like put him in his place and all that shit, and it was just gonna be a fun little like just to try to get everybody, you know, make everybody laugh and just kind of a fun way to end the night. And then we put that together like earlier in the day, and then all that shit happened. And then next thing I know is all of this stuff is going down. And then as it's starting to calm down, I'm just like, oh. I take a fuking breath. And as I take a breath, Bishop comes up to me. Like as I'm, as I like exhale, and he's just like, bro, I don't know what the fuck just happened, but you better fucking fix this or I'm gonna fuck that guy up. And I'm like, because I forgot at this point. And I'm like, excuse me? And he's just like, if your boy just pulled one over on my fucking boy in the middle of that fucking ring just now, we're fighting. And I'm like, oh yeah. And now I'm just like, wait a sec, what happened? Because I could see how angry he was. And I'm just like, oh, this is going to be great. And then he's just like, fuck, man, that fucking kid. And I'm just like, hang on a sec. There's got to be something to this, dude. I'm like, that's not just going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, let's see what they say when they get back. And then you got back and you were like, yo, fuck you, and blah, blah, blah. And then now you can just see everybody's just like, man, I don't know what the fuck is going on because there's just so much fighting. And then
freaking out.
And because everybody's already freaked out from what just happened. So then as I'm seeing this go on, I'm like looking at you and I'm just like, oh, this is perfect. And then as everybody's starting to get like, you could just see everybody's like either getting scared or like tense.
No, they were gonna fight because I'm like, listen, I go, Tyler, you gotta say some disrespectful shit. You gotta call me old wash. You gotta say some disrespectful shit. And I'm like, this is the only way it's gonna work. And we're saying this like as we're getting ready to go wrestle, like do the match. And the only person, listen, we didn't get everybody. Let me just say this now. Shout out to Steve Brown, because Steve Brown can see through anything that I fucking do. Every single time I'm trying to play some kind of bullshit trick, he sees right through me every time. Shout out to Steve, because he saw the whole thing. He looks over, he's like, you're not fucking mad, are you? But he knew the whole time. He's the only one. But everyone else was like, I remember Buck Gunnarsson was there. He was like, yo, hey, man, you need to chill. He was telling Tyler, yo, you need to chill. Watts was there. He's ready to fight this boy. Bishop wants to fight him.
Jimmy Corderas, I was watching Jimmy Corderas get fucking weird about it. So as you're cutting this promo, then you're just like, you could see, you're like, okay, it's time to wrap this up. And then you're and I just got to let everybody know that this is all just a fucking ribbon that we've been working this whole fucking time. And I love you, dog. And then you can just see everybody like go like, wait, what? And then you're just
they almost beat us up for that.
Yeah. Like literally there was almost fights for that. But then once everybody saw that, like it was just like to try to get everybody to lighten up. I remember even guys like Corderas who's like, did you know about that? And I was like, yeah, I set it up. I just didn't realize that this all was going to happen after that. He's like,
yeah.
Thank you. He's like, we as a crew needed that more than you knew. And I was just like,
that was probably the best rib I've been a part of just because of the circumstances that led up to it. It was probably the best one I've done for sure.
But here's the thing. It wasn't that hard to believe that you were mad because like you were literally just about ready to fight a fucking Power Ranger less than an hour previous.
A half hour ago, I was going to kill someone. And then, so they already knew I was already like, they felt I was edgy. But here's the thing. Here's the thing with me. If I argue with someone, the minute I walk away from it, I'm not holding that shit. I don't.
Yeah, you're done.
I don't like gray hair on my head or fucking lines on my fucking forehead, so I'm not gonna try to stress about shit like that. So usually when I argue, I'm over it. It's funny because I did that whole thing with the Power Ranger. Then when I'm setting things up with Tyler, I was good. I was like a kid again. I was gold. I was gold. So and the thing was, because I knew that I was already mad and people were like, holy shit, Lionel got pissed. They're like, okay, they just knew I was edgy already. So it just worked great.
And it was perfect because like all the tension just seemed to like just
disappeared.
And you know what I noticed immediately was a lot of adult gatherings right afterwards where I'll just we're good.
It's all right, definitely the after party.
let's go home. We have had enough for the day. We are all going to sleep very, very well this evening.
Facts. It was good.
Oh man, it's a definitely good way to make a good friend is when someone will fight a fucking Power Ranger for you, you take care of that goddamn person in life. That's love right there is what that is.
I appreciate it. Bro.
I appreciate you, man. Now, one thing that I wanted to talk about is, a lot of podcasts ask this shit, but, I'm trying to not be like other podcasts, but I'm genuinely curious about this because I don't even really think that I know 100%. Like I do a little bit, but like what got you into wrestling? Like, I mean, I've always said that there's like this kind of a strange, like we all think that we can do it. And we all like, I think everybody who watches wrestling wants to do it. But there's just that certain thing where you're just like, okay, well, what is it that made me decide to actually like cross that line of wanting to do it and actually just follow through with it? Like, do you remember what that was for you?
So for me, here's the thing. I've always wanted to wrestle. I was back and forth growing up as a kid. Like, I want to do basketball, football, and wrestling. That was like my main three things. I want to do something like where I was running, sweating, and jumping. Something fun like that. I want to do something fun. And so at first it was wrestling. Then it went from basketball to football. Then I moved because I'm born in Montreal. So I moved from Montreal to Brampton in 98. 98? Yeah,
how old were you then?
I was like 14.
Okay.
14. So Attitude Era comes about. That shit is just wildfire crazy. And it wasn't until, so I meet a buddy of mine in grade 10, and he and I love wrestling to the point where we're videotaping matches that we have in his basement on lunch and all that kind of shit. So we were super cool for like 2.5, 3 years. And then the last year of school for both of us, we're in the same class. And it's funny too, Brent Banks is in the same class actually.
Really?
Brent Banks, me and Brent Banks went to the same school. Me and Brent Banks were in the same class. And no, it's crazy. I know Brent, in terms of wrestlers, I know him the longest.
Which is funny because you two have the worst fucking communication skills that I've
known
to possible. So that's something that they taught in school, clearly.
We're real Jamaican with it. I'll tell you straight. We're real Jamaican with this shit. But
which is hilarious. Small side story to that is like, it's actually kind of funny because you texted me yesterday just randomly out of the blue. Like I messaged you about like a week or so just randomly just to ask how you're doing because I missed you. And then when you messaged me yesterday, you were asking about a specific match that you wanted to see. Yeah. And then I was just like, hey, I got you. Do you want a podcast? And you're like, yeah, fuck it, why not? And then I was like, okay, cool. We do it over Zoom. And you're like, I don't know what Zoom is. I was like, oh shit, this is the most Lionel thing ever. So
I don't.
So I was like, okay, don't worry, we'll get you tested out and everything, and I'll teach you how to use that. That's no problem. But and as soon as you said that, I was like, this isn't gonna fucking happen. I'm like, this ain't happening. And then the best part is like an hour later, I put on my social medias. I'm like, if you, who do you want to see me like talk with in future episodes? Because I always do that because then it just kind of gives me ideas of who to reach out to. And immediately Del Bruno was like Lionel, and then like everybody was like, yeah, Lionel, and I'm like, that's fucking crazy because I'd already set this up, but it's just even crazier that
energy, man.
I got him locked down.
It's energy, man. If it's supposed to go down, it's supposed to go down. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's energy.
So you and Banks went to shit communication college, and
yeah. God awful.
Fucking ace it, by the way.
So it's funny because here's the thing. I met Brent. I remember being around Brent. We weren't like friends like that in school, but because he came from Ottawa, he was like the new guy. I just remember him because I'm like, okay, this is like a new guy. He's tall.
Wait a sec, weren't you the fucking new guy?
Hold on a second, babe.
Huh?
How new were you? Weren't you the new guy? You just said that you moved there when you were 14.
I was.
Go on now.
I was moved there when I was 14, but when Brent came to school, I was already in grade 11. Grade 11, I think, or 12. I can't remember.
You've been there so you put in like an entire year or two.
I put in a lot, man.
Before you were just like, you know what? New guy.
Yeah. No, you got to put in a year before you could be considered a vet. So after like 3 years, okay, I could just talk shit to whoever now, right? But I see Brent and my buddy, he's like, yo, Lionel, there's this school opened up in Brampton. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. He's like, yo, and he shows me the newspaper. And on the newspaper, Steve Brown is in the background. And I'm like, okay, cool. So, and Stephen Elias is in an armbar. I'm like, okay, let me go check the school out. So school gives out. We go check this place out in July. And for me, it was one of those things where I'm like, I don't really necessarily want to get into wrestling, even though I love it a lot. I just want to see what a ring looks like. That was my whole reason for even going to that school. I just want to touch a ring and the ropes and holy shit and see wrestling shoes. And Ben, I'll tell you this. I walk in and the atmosphere, everything about it just captivated me right away. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm actually right there. Like I could train and possibly do a wrestling match. Holy shit. Yeah. So we stayed for a bit of the class. Steve Brown's there actually. Stayed for a bit of the class. We watched these guys wrestle. And my trainer, sitting down in his chair, was already taller than me. That's how big this guy was. And he stands up as this tower of a man. And he's like, "Hey, let's have you guys go to my office and talk." So we talk for a bit, and he takes our information down, and that's it. We leave. And then a month later, his son calls me, and he's like, "Hey, man, I heard you came down to the school. My dad told me you had a pretty good look to you. He says he thinks you could probably be a high flyer because you're a little bit smaller. He goes, would you want to come down and check it out?" And I was like, okay, shit, this school is like recruiting me. I'm like, fuck, I felt like one of those guys like special, like one of those special talents out of nowhere that this school wants to just check out. So I'm like, fuck, I'll go. So I go, and he's just like, yo, listen, man, I want you to do this. I want you to try. He's just like, I'm going to give you, because the way it worked was you had $500 down payment and $200 a month you had to pay. And he's like, listen, I'm going to knock off the $500 payment. You don't worry about the down payment. And your first month is free. I just really want you to try this. If you don't like it at any point, just stop. I'm like, all right, cool. I could do that. So the first session I come in was a Saturday. My first session I come in, it was over after that. I was hooked. There's nothing I can do after that. I had to do it. And that's how I never planned on it. I never really like fully planned on it. I always thought it would be cool. I just didn't think there was a way to do it. Because I remember going on the internet and checking out schools, and the closest school I could think of was Landstorm School in Calgary. I'm like, fuck, I got no money for that. I'm like 18, 19. I got no money for that shit. Where the fuck am I gonna go? I got no one out there to stay with. I'm not gonna do that shit.
Yeah.
The opportunity came up around my house. I'm like, fuck, let me just see what happens with that. And here I am, man. Here I am.
So just out of curiosity, because like this is something that I'm genuinely curious about. Like when you were getting into wrestling, like because at that time, I mean, size was definitely a thing, and you're not the biggest guy.
Fuck that.
So it was already difficult for guys that weren't the tallest or the biggest to get in. So you're already facing that. And you knew damn well getting into a business, especially at that time, that being a man of color was also going to make things also very, very difficult for you. So like, where was your motivation in regards to like, okay, I want to be like this person, and I this is who I see myself as. Like, was there somebody that kind of like inspired you, I guess, in a sense, where you're just like, well, shit, Booker if he can do it, I can. Booker, yeah.
Booker fucking T. It's funny because when I met Booker, I told him, I go, listen, Booker, you inspire me so much. I do the spin and Rooney all the time.
Yeah, you fucking do.
I have to tell him. I'm like, listen, I steal that shit all the time. I'm always gonna take it. That's my me paying homage to you. That's the one thing that stood out. Like when I saw him do it the first time, I'm like, holy fuck. First of all, Booker T stood out to me so much because I had never seen any black guys that were standouts like that. Mm-hmm. Like I'm talking like when he was in Harlem Heat.
Yeah,
he was a star back then. You know, and I never saw any black stars that were like real stars. Like The Rock was cool, but like he came later. When I finally got to Booker T, it was like 94, I want to say, 5. And I'm like, holy shit, this guy, he moves so smooth. Scott Hall said it, his wrestling's pretty to watch. Booker T's wrestling is very pretty to watch. Like the way he moves and everything was so smooth and so like elegant. It was just like, I never seen that before. And I never seen that, not only from a black guy, from anybody. And then to see a black guy doing it was like super dope to me. And then the athleticism, the way he's able to kick, and it was unreal. So he was like the biggest like inspiration for sure. And then Eddie Guerrero and Sean, because Eddie Guerrero's short. He's a small dude. He's not that tall, but the charisma on that man was just absolutely unbelievable. And it's unparalleled. And Shawn Michaels, come on. Shawn Michaels birthed like the new generation of today. So yeah, those guys are my holy trinity of
for sure.
You know what I mean? And then
like your Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, but my Mount Rushmore, like, because I have two different types of Mount Rushmores. I have a worker Mount Rushmore, and then like, okay, you're a star, like Stone Cold, Rock, like, you know what I mean? You could have those kind of Mount Rushmores, but if you want worker or inspirational Mount Rushmores, Mr. Perfect's in there for me. You know, Macho Man's in there for me. You know, Lance Storm's in there for me. RVD, Owen Hart, Dean Malenko, like Jericho. It goes crazy. Like I don't have. It's too much people, man. It's too much people. But
now, one thing, just to kind of go back into the breaking in stuff. Mm-hmm. Did you ever have like? And I asked this question to Justin Sane, and he actually surprisingly said that he never actually had any or ran into any of these issues. But I am genuinely curious. Like, did you ever run into any issues like in regards to like anything, whether it be from the boys, a promoter, fans, just because of the color of your skin, like especially when you were first getting into it?
No.
You're good.
The only incident I had, it was weird. This is what it was. I'm up north, like north, like the natives, like north, and we do a show, and there's like a bar we're supposed to go to like do some kind of like. So after the show, you do like the bar thing where you chill and you kind of see some of the fans that are at the show, whatever. And a bunch of native, like a family of natives showed up, and this one native saw me and another guy who's actually black too, and she literally comes up to me. She's like, "Oh my God, you're black people," and she starts like touching me. She's like, you guys take advantage. You're black people. And she's literally like, and I literally had to like push her off and kind of like toss her to the side. I'm like, yo, that was the weirdest thing for me in terms of like with my skin color, like for wrestling. Like, a fan around, like, oh my God, you're that guy. You're black people. Like she couldn't get enough of, I don't know what it was. She's trying to grab on me and like,
just didn't know what you were and was just curious.
Didn't know,
I guess,
man.
Right?
She didn't know. It was like her first time seeing a black person ever. Like ever. Like to get that close and she's touching me, like, wow, like it's actually in front of me. Wow. Like that was but it wasn't weird to me. That was just like funny more than anything. In terms of racism, nah, because even with storylines, you kind of want to, we're in the entertainment business, man. We got to use everything in life, all dynamics of life. Racism is a dynamic of life. So we use it in a way that can be edgy. It can be kind of offensive. We try not to be. Yes. But I've never been in a storyline that I was uncomfortable doing. Never. And I've done some racist stuff. Like I've done some racist stuff, but it was all leading up to, okay, he's doing disrespectful shit, but he's going to get his payback later. It wasn't like just shit on a race or whatever. There's always a means. There
was racial tones to the story.
Yeah. There's racial tones, but there's poetic justice in those racial tones. Like the guy gets his comeuppance in the end. So if it's just something where it's just like, okay, just continuous rhetoric of shitting on a certain race, no, never had to deal with that. Or feel uncomfortable, no, never. No promoters ever said anything. If they did, I'd probably punch him. To be honest.
Well, that's kind of what I was wondering, because like you hear that there are horror stories out there.
Yeah. And
like it hasn't really been until recently, obviously, that it's just become kind of more acceptable to ask these questions. And like and these are questions that I genuinely think that people should be asking, like, because I don't think that there's anything wrong with wanting to know, because the fact that the fact that you and Justin are like, I consider both good friends of mine. The fact that you haven't had to go through that shit, like, genuinely makes me feel a lot better, just because it's like, okay, it's good. Like,
yeah, but we're in Canada though. Canada's different.
That's a very good point.
Man. We're so
people can still be hurtful, you know. And I'm just glad that you guys haven't had to go through that shit, because
we don't. Like I said, Canada's one of those. It's different. It's. I'm not gonna say it's so much better, but it's definitely better for sure. Like it is. Like we're more respectable. Like it's funny because you know what's weird? So my girlfriend's dad worked with Bret Hart's dad. They were in the Stu. He worked with Stu.
Oh shit.
And he didn't even he's probably met Bret and Owen a few times and didn't give a fuck, because just like, do your thing, man. It's not one of those things where it's like, we don't care about celebs. It's different over here. We're way more lackadaisical. In that part, we don't bother people. We don't try to piss people off to that point.
A lot more chill.
Most of that shit we see in the States. Like, no disrespect, but it's just one of those things, man.
Hey, man, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. It is what it is. I've never dealt with, even going to the States, I've never dealt with any real racism. I remember this one particular time, this one guy, he wanted to fight me because I had like humped. You know, Ric Flair humps towards your girl. I had done that to his girl. He was super fucking mad. I don't know if that was my race. I don't know, but
no, he knew the Black Lavender could have fuck up on his girl, and if he wanted
I was
to.
Black Lavender. Then I was just regular Lionel. I was just regular.
Bro,
Lionel, but
you've always been Black Lavender. Let's just get that straight. You might not have started calling yourself that shit until recently, but you've always been Black. You smooth son of a bitch.
Yeah.
So, question for you: what was your aha moment, is what I like to ask everybody. Like, when, like, obviously you you got through your training, like you started doing whatever, but I mean, like, what was the first kind of, what was your first moment where, like, because for me it took a little bit, like it was definitely a few years, just because of the training that I had. Like, my first real aha moment was doing the Northern Hell tour, working with Chi Cruz, and he taught me how to wrestle, like literally in one match. Like he just, everything that I needed to know, that needed to be like kind of filtered down into what I needed, was like, he just it was all just chips and pieces, and it's like he fucking knocked it the right way, and then everything just went. I'm like, oh, okay, wrestling, cool.
Yeah.
So like that was it for me. Like, what was your moment where you're just like, oh shit, okay, this is wrestling, and I got this. I'm actually really good at this.
Fuck. My aha moment. Fuck, it's been so long. Here's the thing. I've had a few. I don't have one. Like,
do you remember what your first one was?
My first one ever was against Matt Cross.
Okay.
That was my first one. My second, my first one, like that most impactful one, was Jerry Lynn. Jerry Lynn.
Jesus, I didn't know you worked with Jerry. Tell me that story.
Jerry Lynn, man, that guy's a sweetheart and a half. So basically, I was part of a group called PWA. It was led by Josh Prohibition, Nick Watts was in it, Blue Jabroni was in it, Christopher Bishop was in it, and Jeff Flurry was in it. So we were basically fighting all the faces of the company. Jerry Lynn was obviously the biggest face, so he had to get placed against Josh. Josh couldn't show up to his show. So basically, the way the match the card was looking, everyone else had opponents but me. So they're like, okay, Lionel, you got to go against Jerry. I'm like, oh, yes, I do. Oh, yes, I do. And set it up in a way where basically we jump some people and Jerry comes in for the save. And from that save starts the match. And he just basically, you know what's crazy about that story, about that match? That match, I got stomped in the face by a fan and I didn't give a fuck because I had to get up for my next spot with Jerry. Like, he literally stomped me in the face, boom. And I no-sold the shit. It hurt like a motherfucker. And dude was big. Like, I remember the guy. If I see him now, I'm going to kill him. But he stomps on my face twice. I no-sell the shit, get back up, and then run the next spot with Jerry. And then later on, that same guy actually gets punched by Chris Hero. I love my career. I love my career.
Okay. That all makes sense because we've all. I don't know if you haven't seen the video, but yeah, there's a very popular video of Chris Hero punching a fan, and that was in Toronto.
I love Chris Hero for that because that's the same fan who stopped me in the face. It was a group of dudes. They were just rambunctious as fuck. You could tell they never been to a show. They're just they're just too happy. And my match with Jerry goes on. So here's the thing. Those guys, I think, fought with three three wrestlers. Josh was one. No, I think they fought two. Josh Prohibition was one, and Chris Hero was the second. They stomped my face, and yeah, I think that would. So they do something with Josh. The stomping with me happens, and then the match with M-Dog and Chris Hero goes down, and they hit Chris Hero in the back. He thinks it's M-Dog, so he sells it. Mm-hmm. He turns around, and the guy just literally gives him a chop. But he's a fucking fan. So he gives him a chop, the backhand, like just shitty. And Chris Hero just looks at him and just tees off. And after he tees off, these guys are – it's funny. Chris Hero is defending himself, and these guys are calling him racist.
Yeah.
Because he's hitting them. He's somehow racist for hitting them. And then it's funny. The next show, they show up, and I told Chris because me and Chris were cool. Me and Chris, we chop it up pretty well. And I'm like, yo, listen, Chris, you're gonna go out there, and I'll let you know this: if anybody touches you in any way, they're gonna pay for it big time. And it wasn't just me saying it; it was the entire locker. Like, we had come to a conclusion. Like, listen, last month was whatever. This month, this show, let's have fun. These guys are there. We're gonna take their money. We're gonna take their money. If they even so much as touch a single wrestler, they're going to pay for it.
No problems?
Oh, no problems. And there were no problems. There was no problems.
So I'm just going to assume that this match with Jerry Lynn was like, because you said that there was like a beat down and then the match just started right from then and there. And like, because I remember you saying that was like a big aha moment for you. So I'm going to assume that Jerry just kind of walked you through a match and you were just and that was like the first time that you just felt comfortable listening and applying.
Here's what it was with Jerry. Before Jerry, I was going 100 miles an hour for everything, right? Mm-hmm. And Jerry controlled the crowd so well, and he slowed everything down. That was my aha. He
taught you the art of making it look like you're going a million.
Going nuts. Because when you watch the match, I'm thinking, because here's the thing, number one, this is one of those matches, I wasn't tired. I wasn't like need like 10 water. I didn't need like a ton load of water. The crowd loved every part of it. We killed it. We did great. And he's just like, and he comes back. He goes, "See how easy that was?" I'm like, "Yeah, I really, really do." Like, it was so with M Dog. It was one of those things where it's like my aha moment with M Dog was placing my moves in order, like making psychology of it, like. This starts off here, like you don't do a 450 and then finish off with a super. You know what I mean? You build to that. That was
you found your formula.
Yeah, found the formula with M Dog, and then with Jerry, he taught me how to cook it properly.
Perfect.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And even Kevin Owens, same thing. He taught me a little bit more too. Like Chris Hero, I have aha moments with everybody. Tyson Dukes. That was like 2 years. I had an aha moment with Tyson Dukes. The last time I wrestled him, what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago? I had an aha moment with him. You know, I have aha moments with a lot of guys because, like, you never stop learning in this thing. You never, ever stop learning. There's so much ways to do so much things, man. And there's
100%
many avenues to get to the same place. It's on how you want to take it. My dog's over here.
What up, dog?
Walter. It's funny, too. My girlfriend's favorite group is Imperium because she's German and Italian, and her dog's name's Walter. So yeah, that's
amazing.
It's badass, bro. But yeah, that's that. I have aha moments with everybody, man.
No, that makes sense. Because you're like we're always growing, and like it's a continuous like growth process of what we do, right?
Yeah. Right.
I'm kind of curious to see how many people have had those moments with you, just because like you're one of those guys who I don't think gets enough credit for being as good as you are. I think that you're one of those guys who definitely doesn't get their just due. Like, I think that when people talk about like top guys around here, you know, people mention certain names and then it's just kind of like, well, what about Lionel? And there's like, oh yeah, fuck Lionel. You know what I mean? And I don't know why I know that it's certainly not like a disrespectful
I know why.
thing.
It's because I'm quiet though. I'm very,
That's probably what it is.
I'm quiet. I'm not.
Yeah. You muted yourself there for a second.
Yeah, it's my mom.
Okay, you're back.
I try to be. I want to be more socially like media friendly. It's just hard. It's just hard. I don't know. I don't find the allure to it really. It's
Trust
a lot
me,
of
I get it.
Look at me. Look what I'm doing. I'm working out. I'm eating a strawberry. Look, it's.
Lionel keeps getting phone calls, I think, and he keeps getting muted. So he's still with it. There you go.
Give me a sec.
Yeah.
You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I was just explaining during the downtime that you're just getting phone calls, so it's muting you. But
yeah.
But yeah, you're definitely not the social media kind of guy. Like no, that's not you.
That's why you don't hit. You're not gonna think of me right away.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna think of me right away. It's my fault though. It is my fault. I got to be better about it. And everyone.
Well, hey, you know what? Reggie Marley gave me some of the best advice I ever got, and it's just ain't nothing to it but to do it, baby. Just do it.
Straight out. Just got to do it.
So, Lionel, I know that
you know what? I'm gonna put a post.
Are you? No, you're not. You're gonna forget about that by the time that we're done here.
No. What? Because I went to Italy, right? I went to Italy. I'm gonna put up a post today. I'm gonna put up a post that
I'm excited to see this. You
better like it, Ben. Like it, Ben.
I'll fucking. You know what? I'll like it from all my accounts. I got 3 that I can do that shit from.
And comment on it too.
I know how important. I know the importance of liking and commenting. So if anybody's watching, please understand the importance of liking and commenting. So Lionel, I know that I've only got you for a certain amount of time here, so I want to try to fit in a couple more things here just before I gotta let you get going. So I'm gonna hit you with a line of rapid fire questions here. Okay, so I'm gonna hit you with 10 questions that just first thing that comes to your head. You know the deal on this thing. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
You ready?
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite match that you've been a part of?
Favorite match I've been a part of? Fuck. I'm going to go Jerry Lynn.
Who is not on TV right now, who should be on TV right now other than yourself?
Fuck. Just Insane, Tommy Vendetta, Tarek.
Nope.
Del Bruno. A lot of guys. Pretty Ricky.
Oh, Pretty Ricky for sure. Favorite band?
Favorite band?
Or musician?
Oh, favorite band or musician? Favorite band or musician? I don't got a favorite band. Musician, I'll just... Fuck, I don't even have a favorite musician, really. Fuck.
Go-to artist, you know what I mean? Like who if you need to get pumped up and you're just like, fuck, put some what in my ears?
Oh, put some 50 Cent, put some
right.
Jay-Z on there. That'll be cool.
All right, cool. Who's your favorite sports team?
Favorite sports team? Which sports? Okay. I got a few, man. I got Montreal Canadiens.
All right.
Got the Raptors, of course.
Okay.
You know, and I'm a football fan. Giants all the way.
Sorry to hear that.
Yo, get the man, Ben. Don't do that.
Listen, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm just saying that you now have our scrapped ass fucking coach as an offensive coordinator. So good luck with that this year.
What team are you?
Bro,
Look behind me.
The Cowboys. Oh my God.
See, this
America's
is
team.
Now you understand. Okay, so who's your favorite opponent so far that you've worked with?
Favorite opponent that I've worked with. I have a bunch. Black Jesus is a favorite opponent I've worked with.
Okay.
Tyson Deuce is a favorite opponent.
Nope.
Just Insane. Del Bruno. I love working Del Bruno. Hacker. Love working. A lot of guys, man. A lot of guys. Aiden Prince. Can't forget that guy.
Sure.
Cannot forget Prince.
What's the biggest goal that you set for yourself that you have actually accomplished?
Was to win a belt outside of Canada. Win a championship outside of Canada.
Cool. What's the next goal on your list that you need to accomplish?
To get to a company that has TV where I can actually showcase talent and actually like do something like any wrestling's awesome. I'm not gonna say it's not like it's dope. I want to like Impact, AEW, something like that. If I can reach one of those, I'll be happy.
Who are okay? So think newbies, like almost like students that are like literally like just breaking in. Name me like a handful of guys, like 3 to 5 that are up and coming guys that maybe people should watch out for that they've never heard of.
Guys that they should watch out for. I'm trying to think. There are some people. I'm just trying to think off the top real quick. Well, Pretty Ricky's still new to me. I say you watch him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty Ricky's new. I feel I'm gonna get past this question and think of someone afterwards.
That's all good. We can family feud this thing. Pass. Proudest moment thus far outside of the ring.
My favorite moment outside of the ring?
Yeah. What's your proudest moment?
Is that what you said?
Yeah, your proudest moment thus far outside of the ring.
That has to do with wrestling you're talking about.
Yeah, just whatever. It could be life. It could be anything.
Oh, proudest moment outside the ring is being able to take care of my mom. Straight out. That's the proudest moment I have right now.
And what's the best piece of advice that you can give to somebody who wants to do what you do?
Don't deviate from your vision that you want to do. Even though there's a lot of suggestions, don't fully just leave your idea and just go with someone else's. Kind of try to stick to yours, because in the end, that's what you're going to end up going back to and end up doing anyway. So try to have a focus and stick to your dream. Stick to that road.
And to finish this off, the last question that we always ask is, I tried to give you a bit of an Iggy on this before. I don't know if you caught it on your phone, but I always, because again, this is a whole process to get to know my friends better, and it's just me asking questions all the time. So I'd like to turn the table around and see if you have a question that you want to ask me.
All right. What do you like about wrestling now that you hated, and what do you hate about wrestling before that you like now?
Ooh, okay. What I like about wrestling
I set
now,
you up, baby. When you gave me that question, I said, okay, I'm gonna give you a good one.
No, that is a good one.
So cute. Get out of here.
So what I love about wrestling now that I hated was I've kind of told this story before, but like when I trained and like when I first broke into the business, I was very much like I felt like I was like kind of in that last class of like being brought up the old school way by like the old school guys and being taught like a certain way about the business, you know? So fast forward to the Northern Hell tour that we were talking about earlier, where I wrestled with Chi Cruz. I also wrestled Kenny Omega on that tour before he got like popular. And you know, I've told this story a few times on here, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but essentially he made me work to a level that made me angry at the time. But then after I finished working him, I was just like, oh, that's where wrestling is going. I'm like, I don't like this, but like, fuck, now I got to like,
that's where it's going. Yeah.
This is where the business is heading. So back then, hated it. Now, 100% appreciate it because I get it. I don't think that a lot of the older guys want to get it. You know, like because they're like, oh well, you know, there's no psychology in it. It's just like, well, no offense, but what kind of psychology are you looking for? Are you looking for like real fight psychology, or are you looking for pro wrestling psychology? Because there's some stuff that I've seen even guys like Cornette rip on where I'm like, a lot of these things that you get angry about with these guys, or you're just like, oh, it's an artsy-fartsy bullshit thing. It's just like, that doesn't look like it could be in a real fight. And then I see you pick apart things that are like literally what a real fight would be, and you're just like, oh, these fucking guys and their fake ass bullshit. I'm like, oh, so there's, but what I mean by that though is like, I mean, there's just a lot of people who should be kind of coming along with the times, they just choose not to. But like Tid like he's very much an old school guy, very much understands where wrestling he's at now and can work with both. You know what I mean? Now, what do I hate that I used to love is a fucking really good question. This might be a bad thing to say, but I guess just trying to make everybody happy. I don't know if that's a good answer to that, but like I used to really thrive upon just trying to like make sure that I was always doing the right things. You know what I mean? And that I was trying to never make anybody mad at me or do all of these things. What I was doing in the process was I was being inauthentic, or, you know, I was being ingenuine. So it came across as all these things that I was trying to not do. I was actually digging myself a hole much deeper. So it wasn't until I kind of like stepped away from the business and then kind of, you know, got into, you know, the mixed martial arts side and the kickboxing stuff that eventually I kind of was just like, you know what? I don't need to impress anybody. Like, why am I trying to make everybody here fucking happy? Most of these people that I've been trying to make proud of me or happy are all garbage human beings. And why the fuck do I want their approval? Like honestly, what does, just because you are good at fake wrestling, and I mean that in the most respectful way possible, because I do it, but if we're going to look at the grand scheme of things, right, because you can perform a fake fight really, really well, I'm supposed to respect you as a human being, and I'm supposed to just allow you to get away with being a garbage person because you can fake wrestle really good, or because you lift weights really well and you look good in a pair of fucking tights? Go fuck yourself. Like, there's so many talented people in wrestling right now, and there's so many people that look the part, and again, that don't need to, as we discussed this before, that those garbage human beings in wrestling, I think they need to get, again, I don't want to say that the garbage needs to go, but the garbage needs to go, man. Like, we have enough good people that the wrestling can thrive off of good human beings, and it can spread and it can bloom and blossom into this wonderful business that we always wanted it to be, where you can have these grown men that can still be men, but be respectful enough to treat everybody equally and not have to fucking go around swinging dick like you need to be the fucking man or whatever. Because like, it's crazy to think that like where wrestling was and where wrestling is, if that makes any sense. So is I think that the quicker that we can bridge that gap and we can just get people to stop being trash human beings, then that's then we'll be so much better off. And I don't know if that's the answer that you were looking for, brother.
That's good. No, I just wanted an answer. I just wanted see you. I wanted to give you a question that would give me a long answer, like you know what I mean, like what you just did, basically. I like questions like that because then it gives me a chance to understand exactly where you're coming from on whatever. You know what I mean? So that's why I asked you the question like that.
No, I get that.
It was good. You did good, Ben.
Well, I appreciate that, buddy. So, I know that you've got to get going, and it's actually pretty crazy how fucking damn near perfect timing that we've got this. But timing has been what I do lately. So, just to wrap this up, guys, you can find the show, the Big Ben and Friends podcast, on Twitter and on Instagram at Big Ben AF Podcast. Please go give them a follow. Give them all the pictures and all the videos alike. You can find us on Facebook as well under the name Big Ben and Friends Podcast. You can also find us on YouTube, which hopefully that's where you're watching us right now. If not, you're probably listening to us on Spotify, but please go and search us at youtube.com/Big Ben AF Podcast. Please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, as we've discussed that it's super important. Leave a comment. Let Lionel know that you love him. Let me know that you appreciate the hard work that goes into this.
Please, I need it.
Yeah, we need to feel good about all this stuff that we do, right? You can find the audio version on Anchor, which distributes the show to Spotify. Please go listen to the show on Spotify because I want to try to crank those numbers up as much as we can. You can find me personally on all of my social media at Big Ben Is Angry. You can find Crossbody Pro Wrestling and the Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy socials everywhere at CBPW Academy, and that's across the board. You can find us on the CBPW YouTube page at youtube.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling Academy, where you can go and find a lot of amazing Lionel Knight matches from our first few years. You can see where he won our heavyweight title. You can see his entire reign as champion on our YouTube page. You can find us on independentwrestling.tv using the code Crossbody to get 5 free days, where you can find an insane amount of excellent content. And last but not least, you can support Crossbody Pro Wrestling and our amazing wrestlers and our staff by heading to prowrestlingtees.com/Crossbody Pro Wrestling, where all the proceeds of the shirt sales get split between the wrestler and our incredibly hardworking production staff, rather. Lionel, where can we find you on socials?
Black Lavender Baby on Instagram and Black Lavender Baby on Twitter. Same
Excellent.
Thing, baby.
Any final comments before we wrap this up, my man?
COVID is going to be over soon. When it is, support wrestling the way you did before, if not stronger, because we all need it, and we all need to get back to our regular lives and our loves and what makes things fun for us living and enjoying everything it is to life. Ben, you are dope, and it was fun doing this. We should get me and Justin on there, maybe me, Justin, and Preston on here.
Oh, no.
And we have a little fun, man. You let me know.
Dude, I can't tell you how much I fucking love you, dude. I'm really appreciative that you decided to give me 90 minutes of your time to do this. And I can't wait until everything goes back to normal so I can give you a big fucking hug again because, God damn it, I miss it, my man.
It's been a lot. It's been a long time, man. Be good. Be safe, baby. Love you. Absolutely. Back.
I love you, bro, and we will chat soon. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. This has been another episode of the Big Ben and Friends podcast. We will see you later.